Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. How we doing? How's it going, everyone? We're back after a little bit of a 1 week hiatus. It's going to be the trend going forward while the news is still trickling in from an NFL perspective. 1 week on, 1 week off. You know, like us two are allowed to have an off season, but it's okay. We're back. We got a fantastic episode for everybody right now. We're got all kinds of free agent stuff. Has everyone been paying attention to the free agent fiasco that is happening? That legal but not legal tampering period that took place, those trades that are being rescinded, just like in your regular fantasy football league, they're happening in real life too. Like, is this real life? This is amazing. Anyway, so we got a lot of that stuff to recap for you guys this episode. But before we jump into that, please follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter for all the usual fantasy football breakdowns and even just some overreaction theater that might happen whenever there are moves. And just like recently, just like today, for example, like Jalen Waddle got traded to the Denver Broncos. We're going to get into that though. Like, hold your horses, guys. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about it. But this is breaking news. This happened today. For like a bunch of first round picks. And it's like, well, not really. I mean, went for a late first round pick. Might as well be a second round pick. But anyways, like semantics. But we got that to talk about. We got all kinds of stuff. Like, it's exciting. But anyways, please don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm Fab. I'm joined with Roger and Nacc as always. And so, real quick, I mean, free agency has been a chaos in the last few weeks. So instead of just recapping moves like every other fantasy show, we're doing something a little bit different tonight. We're running a Bush League hot take gauntlet. Say that 5 times fast.
Bush League hot take gauntlet.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you. That's why I do the intros. Whoever owns the position starts with a hot take, and the other two hosts get to roast or co-sign it. In my case, most likely roasting it, and then we run the rest of the moves through the Bush League Overreaction Meter. So, what is the Overreaction Meter? So we got league winner, we got major fantasy upgrade, we got solid fantasy upgrade, a little bit of a neutral and wait and see approach, a fantasy downgrade, and fantasy killer. So we've each taken a position. I'm starting with quarterbacks. Roger has wide receivers. Nacc has running backs. And then we're each going to take our own little hot take for tight ends at the very end. So without further ado, let's get into the first segment, quarterbacks. And you guys know there's been a lot of quarterback movement this free agency. I think there's been more dead cap from a quarterback perspective ever. And apparently veterans are just getting, they're like, all you're seeing is contracts for the veteran minimum of $1.3 million contracts because everyone's getting cut. Everyone's doing what the Denver Broncos did with Russ Wilson a few years ago. And like, you gotta respect it. You gotta love it. So there's been a lot of names that have been changing from one team or another. But the one that I like the most from a fantasy football perspective that I think will actually pay dividends is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray going to his home, his childhood team of the Minnesota Vikings for a dirt cheap contract, going up against J.J. McCarthy in training camp. They haven't announced who the starter yet is, and I don't think they will necessarily. But you have to just love this move from a fantasy football perspective. And honestly, if Kyler Murray finishes as a top 10, even top 5 fantasy quarterback next year with Minnesota, I would not be shocked. That offense always has fantastic weapons. We always talk about a Kevin O'Connell offense and how great that is. Listen, you have Jay Jettis over there as your wide receiver. And Kyler Murray is a very, very, very good quarterback. It didn't work out over there in Arizona. We understand. We get it. Didn't work out. But he's a fantastic quarterback. He was picked first overall for a reason. It's not by mistake. The guy can sling it. The guy can run it. It's gonna be a very interesting offense.
Who are you trying to convince? You're back on him.
I'm back on.
Are you really back on him?
I'm really back on. I'm really like I love this move from the second it happened.
Bashing him for the last
100
years.
Yeah.
I think you've been a very
You call him
I did. Yeah, I know. My tune has changed, and it's okay. We're allowed to change our opinions.
From bust to a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm very shocked by this.
He's a first overall quarterback. Cliff Kingsbury likes him because he drafted him. Kevin O'Connell likes him because he went after him and signed him, even for a vet league, $1.3 million. What I like too is that he bet on himself in this contract.
Look,
No,
He's a lot
that's
to hit
not
free
how that's
agency.
not, that's not how it
Look,
works.
look, if you look at his stats, right? Like you take his 2024 season, 68% completion, 3,800 yards, 21 touchdowns, 11 INTs. If JJ McCarthy just did that last year, where are the Vikings?
Playoff
They're a
bound.
playoff.
They're in the playoffs.
Like it's
Playoff bound.
so you factor in McConnell, you factor in all the players that are going to be around the supporting
You
cast.
factor in a good defense as well. You
Very
factor in
good
actually
defense,
like a
Flow.
decent, well, yeah, very good defense. I mean, he's a competent quarterback, and like at the very least, he's a competent quarterback. And is he more? Is he a better quarterback to JJ McCarthy? Objectively, yes. Like, and you can argue with the wall if you want that. Like, I don't see how this is a bad move for Minnesota. I don't see how he doesn't start day one. I really don't. And from a fantasy perspective, I think this has a lot of upside potential.
If he can't beat out McCarthy in training camp, there's real serious issues in that organization. And then you could be talking about Kyler Murray being, kind of done. Because if you can't beat out JJ McCarthy, it's pretty sad, actually, especially when you have now, like you said, the Kevin O'Connell effect.
Yep.
I'm always going to give him the benefit of the doubt with a new quarterback because we've seen it year in and year out with a different guy, and it's been able to happen. Last year, not so much, but that's probably more because JJ McCarthy just doesn't have it coming off injury. He was injured as well. It just didn't work out last year with McCarthy. I'm not saying he's a bust just yet, but it's just doesn't seem like it's worked out so great. But top 5?
Yeah.
I
think it's in the realm of possibility.
I don't think so. He's still short. He still can't see over his offensive line.
That's my worry. That'd be my worry.
He didn't grow. He didn't grow in the last year and coming into Minnesota.
We got to stop knocking the guy for being short.
Depends where.
Well,
we got to stop knocking
shorter quarterbacks just can't see the field like taller quarterbacks. It's just
I think that
Drew Brees would beg to differ, but yes, I understand.
I think they would. I think they'll scheme.
I mean, the needle in the haystack example that you're choosing is you compared it to a Hall of Fame quarterback. So
he still threw for 4,000 yards, even being short. I'm just saying it's there, it exists, and I think the short, the knock on him being short, I think is a little bit old now. I think we got to move on from that. That's just my 2 cents. Anyways, for me, this is a major fantasy upgrade, teetering on the edge of league winner.
Wow.
Teetering on the edge of league winner. Yep. I'll say it. Put my foot down. 10 toes down. What day is it? March 17th, 2026, in the year of our Lord. Kyler Murray, starting for the Vikings. You get him in that offense. He's your QB1. You're going to be happy. You're going to be happy come draft day. You're going to be happy.
You're going to draft him?
What's that Kevin Costner?
You're going to draft. Where are you drafting
no matter what.
Where are you drafting him? Where are you drafting him? What round?
If I can snag, what round? He's going to go in the second round for sure. For sure, he's going in the second round. He's not making to the third.
He's all yours, bud.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not making it to the third. If he's making it to the third, he's a steal.
I fold.
But so I just want to hear like top 5 fantasy quarterback. You're thinking you have Josh Allen, you have Lamar Jackson, you have Jalen Hurts.
Lamar Jackson.
Who's in there?
I don't think you have Lamar Jackson this year.
Top 5?
I don't think you have Lamar Jackson.
Where did he finish this year? You're picking Kyler Murray. So you're picking Kyler Murray over Lamar Jackson this year. That's a spicy hot take.
That is a spicy hot take. I would feel equally uncomfortable probably with taking that. Because Lamar Jackson,
Kyler Murray
Lamar
over
Jackson,
Lamar Jackson.
That offense. Plus with Jesse Minster right now as the coach, I think they'd be much more defensive driven. I don't know how, and Lamar Jackson hasn't. Am I the only one who's been he's been falling off?
Look, he's like, the new OC is Declan Doyle. He worked with Ben Johnson. I believe he was the passing game coordinator. So it's going to be a lot of 2 tight end sets. Let's see how they use Zay Flowers. Do they try to use Zay Flowers a little bit hot, like how the Bears use DJ Moore and Luther Burden? It's going to be very running based though, like how we saw the Bears play action, running plays. Maybe not necessarily any one focal point at the wide receiver position, but I actually could see that that offense being very good, similar to how the Bears were very good with Caleb in that first year. Johnson.
But there's just way. I feel like there's just way too many. Like there's Caleb Williams, who's like,
Well, we say this every year. We have to rank the top 5. I'm
Yeah, but Kyler Murray, we're talking about Kyler Murray here. I mean,
I know. He's the first
this
quarterback
is
on my list. We can keep on going down, but I'm just saying,
this
there's
is
a chance
this
of him
is
being top
this is
5, and
tough.
I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy at all. I think he can have a very good season. I think he has a number 1 wide receiver. I think he has a very good offensive-minded coach. He has the capabilities and the tools. But let's revisit this in a few months from now. And listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But we got another major signing. We got Malik Willis to the Dolphins. Signed a very, very nice, very lucrative, cute little contract. And now I was a lot more positive with this move earlier in the day. And now I really don't know why they signed Malik Willis to trade all of their. I think what is Devon Achane going to get 60 carries a game? Like, I mean, this is. I guess we have to see what they do come draft day, because they have like 11 picks this year. So that 1, probably 2 are going to go to some skill position players. Definitely a wide receiver, most likely even a tight end too, because I think they're lacking that department as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do invest in that. So I'm holding reservation. I'm switching more to a wait and see for Malik Willis. It was more of a solid fantasy upgrade, but I'm just downgrading that right now. Like, you love Devon Achane, and you love the fact that he has that weapon, and there is rushing upside with Willis. But I mean, who is he throwing to, right? And how is the offensive line going to shape out for Miami? So Miami's they're a bit of a dumpster fire, and I don't think any Miami fan is going to disagree with me on that. And they want that because, they're in a rebuilding phase right now. So I don't know if you guys disagree with me or not. This is even a downgrade. I think we're all on the same page here.
I mean, I think it's an upgrade over Tua in that vacuum, but I tend to agree with you in terms of like what's the vision. Like, I was listening to some podcasts, and basically they're saying, look, if there's a slight chance that the Green Bay contingent who worked with Malik Willis thinks a 10% chance that maybe thinks he could be a franchise quarterback, the contract that you give him is nothing, right? And if it doesn't work, it's basically like, what, a 2-year deal. You have Arch Manning potentially next year, Lenore Sellers, all those other guys. I think just the rushing upside to me gives me more hope than what you saw from Tua.
The issue I have is that offensive line is completely depleted.
Yeah.
They have a very bad offensive line, and their top 3 wide receivers as it stands today are Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, and Tutu Atwell.
Yeah.
Those are his wide receivers. I have to say, I wouldn't say downgrade at this point, but I would say neutral right now. Just because there is no, he can't do it on his own. And again, there's obviously Achane, who's going to be getting a lot of work this season if they don't go ahead and trade him in the coming weeks. But I don't know. I can't put my pulse on this one, as I agree with Fab. I don't know what they were thinking in grabbing him, if they were just going to trade all the skill players around him.
Also, call me crazy, but I'm not like over the moon happy that they gave all this money to a guy who's played like 3 games in 5 years.
Oh, that's another story in itself. I think we all agree with that.
I mean, sorry, like, I'm looking at from the bigger picture here. It's like, he has great stats. Cool. He's played like 3 more games than I have in the last 3
$20
years.
million a year for a starter is pretty cheap money. And I think, as Raj mentioned, the contract could be cut short after 2 years.
It's definitely high risk, high reward of a contract. Sorry, high risk and low reward. Sorry, no, low risk, high reward.
Low risk, high reward.
Yeah, because they can, and a lot of these deals now, you're seeing it too. Like, a lot of these guys got 3-year deals, and like the last year is basically a dead cap year. Like, it's a 2-year contract with an out after that. It's becoming more the norm. So I think we're on the same page about that. However, the next guy, I don't think we're on the same page for. Daniel Jones looks like he's returning to the Colts. He signed a contract, or is he on a? He
signed a contract.
Signed a
franchise
2
year, $100 million.
Oh, 100, yeah.
2-year, $100 million. Like, that's money. That's money for a guy who's tore his Achilles.
Great agent.
I think
he's had really good
fantastic agent. He's made
100%.
He's had $299 million in contract value dollars since being in the NFL.
Basically, the next Kirk Cousins.
Pretty much. I for me, this is very much a wait and see, and a lot of it is contingent on where he is with his Achilles recovery. He is younger than a lot of the quarterbacks we've seen tear their Achilles, so you would imagine that he'd be able to bounce back a little bit quicker. So there is some optimism in that regard. The Colts did trade Michael Pittman Jr. over to the Steelers, so there is one less weapon. However, we saw how good the tight end played. We saw how good their wide receivers played. I don't necessarily think it's a big loss, to be honest with you, from a production perspective. And Daniel Jones, you do get that running value. So
I don't know. Coming off an Achilles is going to be the rushing. The rushing is going to go way down. I feel
that's a great point. That's why I mentioned more wait and see.
I think more so the fact that Jonathan Taylor just came off an amazing season. If he continues to stay healthy, that's huge for. It's always been a big factor last year, at least for Daniel Jones.
Yeah. No, and you saw how much better Jonathan Taylor played when Daniel Jones was healthy and playing well. Like it just helps the offense when your two stars are operating. So I think wait and see approach. I think we're all on the same page in that sense. Yeah,
agreed.
So now the Falcons. Oh, this is a spicy one. Tua Tagovailoa has taken his talents over to the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons right now are the only team in the NFL to have two left-handed quarterbacks, which kind of makes sense from an offensive perspective that they would sign Tua over another quarterback for a league minimum. I feel like they don't have to adjust their offense all that much. But listen, I've been on record and I've said it. Tua is not a bad quarterback. Like, yeah, he has an injury history, has a concussion history, but the guy at one point in time did lead the league in passing yards. He also had the highest completion percentage, if I'm not mistaken, too, at the end of at one point in that season that he was leading the NFL in passing yards. He's not a bad quarterback. And he's going to a team like the Falcons who have a lot of offensive weapons. You can argue as many of offensive weapons as the Dolphins had in that season that they were ripping it and scoring 80 points against the Denver Broncos. So I don't see this necessarily as a bad move. It's definitely a moderate fantasy upgrade because we don't know, Michael Penix Jr., he has his third ACL tear in like 5 years. You don't know there's a big question mark there if you're the Falcons GM and the head coach. So you need to hedge your bets. You need to bring in a quarterback that can run the offense from a capable standpoint and also happens to be left-handed, just like the guy that you catered your offense to. It's an easy plug and play. And so he's throwing to Drake he's throwing to Drake London. He's throwing to Kyle Pitts. He's throwing to Bijan Robinson. It sucks that they lost Darnell Mooney. I love Darnell Mooney in that offense, but I'm pretty sure they'll be able to find somebody to replace him, like a wide receiver.
So far, it's Jahan. So far, I believe it's Jahan Dotson, which I'm going to talk about it later. The wide receiver spot. That's not
Jahan Dotson's a very capable wide receiver. Great.
He's been a bust. He's been a bust so far. And look, that was the issue that they had. Anyways, we'll talk about wide receivers later, but that was the issue that the Falcons had. They did not have enough depth behind Drake London. I agree with you, Fab. $1 million and change for Tua. As much as we want to poo-poo on him, and he's the perfect guy because he's not going to overtake the room. Look, if the Falcons are really, really good, then you have to have a discussion. But as long as he's just like average or below average or just holding the seat warm, Penix is going to go back in. They need to. It's a key year for them to see what they have out of Penix.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think he's the starter for the whole season. Again, I don't know how far along Penix is with his injury recovery and all that, if he's even slated to start the season and all that stuff. But this is a very low risk, very high reward, because if Penix does get injured again during the season, you have a guy that can plug in and then operate the offense very capably. And I think this is it's a very smart move from an asset perspective.
Yeah. All these quarterbacks go for 1.3 million. Backups are making 5 to 10 million. Like these are no-brainer signings for 1 year. Like it's impossible to pass up these signings.
It's unprecedented. Honestly, like I don't remember. I don't think it's ever happened before.
It's almost a key and interesting team building strategy where we've constantly seen year after year these quarterbacks that kind of just get thrown in through the wayside end up being signed for 1 to 2 million. Every single year, there's at least 2 or 3 of these lately.
Yep. Yeah, and it makes you wonder philosophically, the quarterback market, is it a little bit?
It's inflated.
I think it's just been easier. It's become easier to digest with the rising cap the way it is.
Yes.
Yep.
True. If a cap goes up by $30 million and you got to cut a QB and you were looking at $50 million dead cap, and now it's realistically only 20. Like very much easier to digest.
2 years.
Exactly, post June cuts and then spread it over 2 years. It becomes so much easier to digest with these huge cap increases. So as long as the cap keeps going up, I think you're going to see more and more of these because teams are showing that it could happen. Look at the Dolphins this year, $176 million in dead cap out of 301 this year.
Yep.
And 7 of those players are not on the roster.
Yep. And they don't seem to care,
which is crazy.
Another guy that doesn't seem to care is Aaron Rodgers. He hasn't been signed yet. I think he's is he on a retreat? I don't know. He's worried. He's not worried about anything right now. Aaron Rodgers is still very much a free agent. Hopefully he signs with your Pittsburgh Steelers, Nacc. But until that happens, let's assuming he does signs with the Steelers. Very neutral. Neutral. No. What's one tier above neutral? Solid fantasy upgrade? About there, I would say. He's a reliable QB2. He's still a very good quarterback. And the addition of Michael Pittman there would be interesting for sure. And also a very, very new running back, which we're going to get to later on with Enrico Dowell. You always like to have a good quarterback with a nice running back, so that's going to be helpful. But again, right now, we can't say anything about it because he's still a free agent. Speaking of another free agent too, and these ones are going to rapid fire. Kirk Cousins, still a free agent. I don't think he wants to get a backup spot anywhere. I think he's still looking to start, so that's probably gonna.
Yeah, I think he's waiting
till after the
draft. I feel like there's no way. There's no way he signs with someone before the draft. He's not going to do that again. You know.
It's
looking like I see him in Vegas for some reason.
Yeah, I think
it's a smart. It's a smart, but I think he wants to start.
No,
right?
but it sounds like it sounds from what I've read, for what I think you guys have probably read the same thing. They don't want to rush into starting Mendoza immediately, especially with Brady there. Brady saw the impact that he had his first year sitting behind Drew Bledsoe and whoever else was. I think he was even the third string QB at that point.
Good
in his rookie year. I think we all agree with that.
Yeah, good. Honestly, and it's really 100%. And it's not as if you need to sit the whole season. You sit like a month and a half. Like that's way more experience than you'll ever get. And you learn so much more anyway. So yeah, I fully agree with that.
I'm always.
And then finally we got Marcus Mariota, who re-signed as a backup. Yeah. Finally we got Marcus Mariota, who re-signed as a backup for the Commanders. He was very serviceable last year from a fantasy football perspective and from a real football perspective when he had to come in for relief for Jaden Daniels. So that's another name to keep an eye on in the event that Mr. Daniels does go down with injury, which hopefully doesn't happen, and he doesn't go down the same route as a former highly drafted Washington Commanders quarterback of that regard. So that was our quarterbacks. A lot of stuff happening. Super exciting. We know what else is exciting too? The running backs. And that's why we're going to hand it on to Nacc right now. We're going to hand off to Nacc for the running backs.
Nice.
He's going to punch it into the end zone over there.
Nice. Thank you, Fab. Yes, as you mentioned, wide receiver, there was a running back. There was a lot of movement in the offseason, not just in the way of free agency, but also on the trade front. The first gentleman we're going to speak about is the reigning Super Bowl MVP in Mr. Kenneth Walker. It was funny because I found they made, how the GM made the joke on the float at the parade, saying that he was already trying to negotiate a contract with him, and you kind of saw Walker was like, "What the heck is he talking about?" And then fast forward a few weeks later, and he becomes a Kansas City Chief. This is a very interesting one. Obviously, it's been known across league circles that the Kansas City Chiefs have been looking for running back help for a long time. They thought they found something in Pacheco, but the running style and the injuries just hasn't worked out. He becomes a Lion. We'll talk about him later. But hot take, Kenneth Walker will finish as a top 3 fantasy running back in Kansas City. Now, he's been splitting time in Seattle with Charbonnet pretty much his whole career, right? He's never really been that bell cow, and he's also been very injury prone. I think that's what takes it away from me from even pushing him into a top 5 spot. even though I know that with Mahomes now injured, coming off an ACL, they're going to tend to run the ball a lot more. And obviously, with the money they paid him, they figure he's probably going to get his fair share of the looks in more of a 3-down capacity. But the injury just scares me. I don't know what you guys think in terms of injury fronts and in terms of how Andy Reid is going to use him, but I'm scared to go all in. Like, you're talking top 3 fantasy running back, you're talking first round pick in fantasy football. Like, are you right now telling me that you're picking Kenneth Walker the third in the first round of fantasy drafts this summer?
No, I'm not. I'm not, and it's not for a lack of talent. It's not for a lack of opportunity. It's just for a lack of, I think, history, if I want to call it that. I mean, listen, he's going into a situation right now where look at who are the other running backs in that running back room: Rashard Smith, Amari DeMercado, and Derek Powell, who have been signed. Like, Kareem Hunt is still a free agent. We don't know what's going on with there. Like, it's a running back room where, yeah, it's it's Kenneth Walker and everybody else. But I don't. It's hard for me to see a path to top 3. It's hard for me to see a path to even see top 5. Top 10, I definitely see. I think that offense is going to run heavy enough that it's going to be very beneficial from a running back perspective. Because don't forget who the OC is now, right? It's Eric Bieniemy, and we all know how well he does with running back usages. You saw how he did in Chicago last year as a running backs coach. So it's going to be run heavy, and I think it's going to benefit Kenneth Walker a lot. I do fully agree with the injury concern and all that stuff, but we've also been on record over here on this pod, and I always refer back to that 3 touchdown game versus Detroit where he backflipped over somebody or whatever it was, and it's just like the guy's good.
That was nuts, man.
He's a fantastic running back. If you give this guy full control of the backfield and he's healthy, I know that if he's healthy, can apply to pretty much any player there, but if he's healthy, top 5 is really not crazy. It's not. Like, he's that good, and the offense is there.
I agree with Fab. I'm not gonna draft him top 3, but the talent is insane. And we do talk about, yes, it seemed like he was injury prone last year. He played all 17 games, and I think last year they were putting him on a pitch count because we saw he was way more unleashed in the playoffs. He was way fresher than he had ever been. We saw obviously in the Super Bowl, he became Super Bowl MVP. And if you look at his kind of overlying metrics, like his rookie year, he was at 4.6 yards per carry. Then he went to 4.1 in 2023, 3.7 in 2024, back to 4.6 in 2025. So I think they're going to try to be more efficient with him. The Chiefs will be. They're going to have to improve their offensive line a little bit, I believe. And from what I've read, one of the big issues with the Chiefs is they run a lot of shotgun runs. Kenneth Walker is more of a under center running back. Mm-hmm. Considering the type of speed he has, kind of like the speed he needs to get to the hole. So that's a change they're going to have to make, whether schematically, whether with offensive line. That would be maybe a slight hesitation I have. But I would be happy to scoop him up in the 2nd or 3rd round. I think some people might be more trigger happy and get him earlier because it's Chiefs, it's Mahomes, it's Reid. But I could see top 5 finish very easily, in my opinion.
Yeah, people tend to see the Chiefs, and it's going to have that similar to Clyde Edwards-Helaire effect when he went in the first round of drafts when he was drafted. So I could definitely see him. I could definitely see him get drafted in the first round because they're going to have that Chiefs kind of offense on the brain. But I do agree, 2nd round, 3rd round seems a bit more plausible. And yeah, again, to touch upon the injury concern, I think this was the first year in his career where he played every game in a season. So definitely, we're all hoping that the trend continues because, to your point, Raj, he definitely has the skill. So excited to see what it looks like in a Chiefs uniform. Definitely going to look a lot different next year. Then we had, prior to free agency, actually, we had a nice little trade, which ended the Sonic and Knuckles regime in Detroit. David Montgomery was traded to the Texans. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love this move. Similar to the Chiefs, they were looking for a running back. It just didn't work out last year. I know that they had Joe Mixon, who was injured all year. They had drafted Woody Marks, who came on strong, but then, tailed off towards the end of the year. They also had Damon Pierce, who the year before was good and now kind of, also tailed off. So the running back room was kind of a mess last year. I think they're going to have a nice little 3-down potential running back in David Montgomery, but definitely early down work is definitely going to be the runner. You probably have Marks come in as that pass catcher on 3rd down, but I definitely love this move. Take a little pressure off of CJ Stroud as well, running the ball. So, I see this as a really, really good move. And the Casio is it Casio? The GM? Casario. He's had really, really good, has a really good track record of bringing in running backs and them doing really well. When they brought in Joe Mixon had 1,000-yard season in his first year. So
I see this as a major fantasy upgrade. If we were thinking about how we see the overreaction meter, we forget also David Montgomery caught 54 passes in 2020 with the Bears. He's had 2,000-yard seasons, and those 700-yard seasons with the Bears, with the Lions, including that 1,000-yard season. 2 out of the 3 of those, I believe, were with Jahmyr Gibbs. So we know what he could do even in a timeshare. Being the lead back, I think he's going to be undervalued for sure, because he's one of those players that's like David Montgomery. You've been burned by him because he's in a timeshare. But I think with the offense, with Nico Collins, with CJ Stroud, looks like they're going to be improving the offensive line. Again, I really like this. And to me, it's a major fantasy upgrade for sure for the Texans compared to what they had before.
I'm just concerned there's going to be a regression touchdown. There's going to be a regression for his touchdowns in this offense. That's my only concern. I love the usage, I do, because you're looking at from his first 3 years in Detroit. Well, it's 3 years in Detroit. That guy scored 32 touchdowns. So it's like he's averaging 10. Is he going to get to 10 this year? I'm not really sure in that offense. I don't.
I think I'm the opposite on that. I think I definitely gets to 10 touchdowns.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't. I see it a lot more difficult, to be honest.
He got 10 touchdowns with Gibbs there. Talking double digits, we're playing with Gibbs.
Yeah, but that offense is much better than the
for sure.
I agree on that.
Texans were tied for last in red zone attempts. So to Fab's point, red zone scoring attempts per game.
I mean, how many times did you see Woody Marks running for a touchdown last year? Like in the red zone.
Yeah, but we're comparing Woody Marks to David Montgomery.
No, but I'm comparing to the opportunity. I'm comparing the opportunity that's going to exist, and I think there's a reality that exists out there that he will have less opportunities in Houston than he had in Detroit, and I think it's just a reality of it.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you, Fab. I think the flip side is a guy like Montgomery. Like from a success running rate perspective, like the Texans, I own Woody Marks. They were so efficient. They could not convert 3rd downs. They were a very bad 3rd and short team. I think that's an area where David Montgomery can help improve to get them to the end zone, to the red zone. But to your point, I agree. We have to kind of see it because we saw what they were last year, which was one of the worst teams in getting into the red zone.
Yeah, and we always preach about how the Houston Texans have a horrible offensive line. Like, has that changed? I'm not sure. And I love this move. I think it's a great move from like a Houston Texans perspective and also for fantasy football perspective. But you know what I see David Montgomery as going forward? I see him as the new version of James Conner. I see him as like a very dependable RB2. He's going to get you your 1,200 yards because I think he's going to hit that mark now with all the extra volume he's going to have. And he's going to get you your 8 touchdowns. And he's going to get you maybe 10 total touchdowns with the passing work and all that stuff. I think that's realistic. I don't think that's crazy. But is he going to have an overall touchdown regression? I think so.
He's an RB2. He's an RB2.
And he's a
quintessential WR like 23.
Yeah, like, and he's the new James Conner. He's the new James Conner. And you're going to be drafting him. He's like, he's not going to look that great. It's David Montgomery. But when he gets you those carries and he gets you those nice 13, 15 fantasy points in a PPR league there for an RB2, you're not going to be upset about it.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll move along to Mr. I don't even know how to call this guy's name anymore since he came out. And is it Travis Etienne? Etienne?
Yeah.
Etienne?
There's
Rod,
two
you have the
Etiennes.
better you have the better
no, but
accent. I
I
think.
There's
think
two.
it's my guess is I think it's Creole. That's the only thing I could think. I think it's a Creole type thing. He's like Cajun because he's from New Orleans.
Etienne. Yeah,
That's the only thing I could think of. Because
Yeah.
obviously we're French
Etienne.
Canadian, it's Etienne for us, but
yeah. I know it's and
Actually,
we've
yeah,
heard so many
he is
different variations of it, but when he said it, it was like completely different than what everyone has ever called it in the NFL.
just quickly. Sorry to interrupt you, Nacc. He is of Louisiana Creole ancestry, so you
Yeah.
are correct, Roger. Yep.
yeah, that's what I would think.
Well, yes, so he did go to the New Orleans Saints. Definitely clear starting role in that offense. We're still waiting to see what happens with Alvin Kamara. Is he calling it quits? Do they entertain some kind of trade if he wants to keep playing? I know that Kamara's been in pretty an advocate of staying in New Orleans for his whole career. So we'll see how that plays out. But this is definitely a major fantasy upgrade on my side. He had a tremendous year last year. I think in that offense too in New Orleans really started to come along, and honestly, throughout the whole year was really good. But when Tyler Shuck took the reins, I think it exploded. And I think he's going to have every opportunity to be a major component in that offense next year.
Agreed.
Then we move forward with Rico Dowdle, who was signed to the Steelers 2 years. Joins Mike McCarthy, who he had his best years with in Dallas. I think I'm more neutral on this one to start off, only because I've been hearing rumblings of he may be the early down work with Jalen Warren converting to the passing down work. Warren is obviously better pass catcher than Rico Dowdle is. I'm curious to see how this works out. Again, this is going to depend on who the quarterback is as well. It's just it looks like it could be a nice 1-2 punch like they kind of had last year with Gainwell. But I think I see Warren probably figuring to have more of fantasy relevance because he's going to be more of the pass catcher there in Pittsburgh.
I'm going to avoid this one personally.
Yeah,
really
so am I.
After the Dowdle Chuba Hubbard situation, I'm going to avoid that one.
I will not be avoiding Chuba Hubbard though.
This year for sure. Yeah, although Jonathan Brooks, I think Jonathan Brooks will be back. Yeah, Jonathan Brooks will be back.
That's true. That's true.
Hopefully the guy cross our fingers that he can actually stay healthy.
They took him I think it was a second round.
Yeah.
And he looked good in college. We were talking about hyping him up, man. Yeah. He looked good in college.
Yeah, they invested a lot in him. Then you had Rachaad White, who left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go with the Commanders. Yeah. I think this is a really nice pickup by the Commanders. They needed some type of pass catching back in that offense. I know that they had Eckler there, who got injured. I don't know if he's still on the roster or if he's a free agent. I'm not sure, but I think his time with the Commanders is done, if not coming to an end. Very, very good pickup, I feel here. They have who's the starter that they have in place? They had Krosky Merritt in there for a bit. They had
Chris Rodriguez.
Chris Rodriguez was signed elsewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's huge upgrade. I think this is going to benefit Jaden Daniels a lot, and fantasy wise, very, very good, very solid. The solid fantasy upgrade.
Yeah, I agree. I like this move a lot. It's very smart.
Then you come up to a weird one. This was, I think, the weirdest one for running backs. Tyler Algier signing with the Cardinals, who gave Connor a revised contract, who still have Trey Benson on the roster as well.
DeMarcado is still there, I believe.
No, DeMarcado signed with the Chiefs.
Oh, he's signed with yes.
But I'm just confused. He's such he has RB1 value in let's say call real football style. Like he could be an RB1 somewhere. Why did he choose to sign there? It was kind of weird from his perspective as well. And then talk about fantasy backfields to avoid. this is definitely the one I'm staying way, way, way far away from.
So I changed
Nacc,
my tune.
I think for all the no, I was gonna say I think for all the reasons you just mentioned, Nacc, I think that's why he signed there. Because James Conner is getting long in the tooth, and Trey Benson is clearly injury prone. I think there is a pretty clear path. There's a clearer path for him to start there in other committees. Like what if you go to Pittsburgh, for example, or if you go to the Commanders, and you can go on and on and on, right? I think I don't think it's
the Ravens
spot.
we talked about.
Yeah, the Ravens. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad spot at all. There's no way he was going to start behind Derrick Henry. I think there's
is he a starter day one?
Right now, no. I can't say that. As long as James Conner is on that roster, I can't say that with confidence that Algier is the starter from day one. But it's also like if James Conner is the starter from day one, he's the starter. Like it's written in pencil. You know what I mean? Like it's not. This is a true committee, 100%, and I think it's Tyler Algier who can turn it into like the lead back of the committee if injuries happen, and then performance.
I changed my tune on this one as well, where I felt it was like, what are you doing, to kind of agreeing with Fab. Benson can't stay healthy. He only played 13 games in his rookie year. Last year, he played, I believe, only 4 games. He was injured immediately. He was supposed to come back. He never ended up coming back afterwards. Connor, as you said, he's going to be, I believe, age 31, 32. And from a scheme fit perspective, Algier was with previously the Zach Robinson offense. That was like a lot of outside zone. Now he joins Matt LaFleur, McVay offense, a lot of outside zone as well. So I think there's a scheme fit where I think I wouldn't be surprised actually Algier is the week 1 starter. I think he's very talented. So it'll just be interesting to see if is it like a clear week 1 or the 2026, or are you gonna have to wait till 2027 for him to really be that main guy?
Yeah, I just can't see them going away from all the running backs. Or like, so you're saying he's the running back to own at the moment?
I wouldn't worry about Benson. I wouldn't worry about Benson, because when Connor was the guy, I don't even think Benson was getting the full backup looks.
No.
DeMarcado was still there. Bam Knight was still there. So that's why I like Benson's not really a worry. And if Connor, maybe they put him on a pitch count just because he's older, because it's his final years. I think they brought Algier in for a reason to take over that backfield.
Right. Then we have J.K. Dobbins returning to the Broncos. Kind of a neutral wait and see here. He started off really hot at the beginning of the year. A little bit of injury history, missed a lot of games down the stretch, and then you have the risk of potentially RJ Harvey breaking out in year 2. So. And we also know how Sean Payton likes to mix it up with his running back. So it's always kind of, risky play here for a J.K. Dobbins. You had Kenneth Gainwell going from Pittsburgh to the Buccaneers. Apparently that was his number 1 destination even last year. I don't know how this is going to play out, because I know Bucky Irving was hurt, but he came back and he was lights out as soon as he came back from his injury. Again, they like to mix in running backs too in Tampa. I know that Rachaad White still had a lot of looks, and then they brought in, Sean White? Tucker is no longer there.
Yeah.
But
I think they don't trust Irving's size.
Yes. Yeah. I 100% agree. It just I feel like it's a downgrade on both in a sense. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, how high are you drafting Bucky Irving, and how low are you willing to wait on Kenneth Gainwell? Or do you avoid that? It's just Gainwell again, he showed that he can catch the ball. Got I think 70 plus catches last year. So that brings something, but Bucky Irving also catches the ball. It's a weird backfield.
Nacc, they're tendering Tucker, so he will be back on a 1-year deal. And we saw when he did run, he looked very, very good. So who knows? They might still fit in Tucker there he might still eat into Irving's carries.
Yeah,
can we also just assume that Kenneth Gainwell is taking over from the Rachaad White role?
Yeah.
So the same usage that would exist before from a pass catching running back standpoint, like Bucky Irving's still going to be the guy, and they're going to mix in Gainwell on 3rd downs.
Yeah, I don't like this for Irving at all.
I don't like it either, but I don't
because of how valuable Gainwell showed he could be. I think that's what hurts him the most. You had some kind of underwhelming ones as well. Isaiah Pacheco to the Lions. I think this is just Gibbs to the moon. I think Gibbs becomes your RB1 100% on the next year on off the board for sure. I don't think Pacheco. This is not David Montgomery here. I think this is really Gibbs backfield, and Pacheco just becomes the backup. Emmanuel Wilson went to the Seahawks. Another depth move piece. After losing Kenneth Walker. So Charbonnet, I think I like him next year as the lead back. Hopefully he as well can stay healthy. You know, we've had his injury problems. Chris Rodriguez Jr., we just spoke of, went to the Jaguars. They obviously had to replace Etienne. I'm not sure it replaces him completely, but they have made a cute little depth move. And then Keaton Mitchell, this is a sneaky stash one to me as well. I think he went to the Chargers. The way now with Mike McDaniel there as well, kind of interesting to see how he's utilized in that offense. So definitely one I'm keeping an eye on, and could be, you know, obviously looking at training camp and preseason games, maybe kind of like a late round stash on your bench.
Similar build to HN. I agree with that.
Yeah.
If we could just quickly go back to Emmanuel Wilson, looked quite good in relief of Josh Jacobs. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Charbonnet takes over the role. And there's that George Holani guy who was a rookie last year. They also really liked in camp. So that's could be a backfield to avoid as well. But I could see Wilson potentially coming out on top.
And then just a couple of players that are still free agents that are looking for a landing spot. Najee Harris, still apparently he's rehabbing well and looking for his next opportunity. And then there's Brian Robinson Jr. I think it would make sense for the 49ers to bring him back. He looked like a nice backup to CMC. That'll do it with the running backs. I will pass it off to Raj and.
Are you gonna pass it? You're gonna pass it to Raj.
Pass it. Yes. Yes, I can do that too.
HB option. So this is the position.
Go ahead, Raj.
Yeah, it's a position everyone's been waiting for. These were the bells of the ball, the wide receivers. So I would say this was one of the more underrated wide receiver free agency classes that has come up. There was a few trades as well. So we're gonna dive right into it. In terms of my hot take for the wide receivers, Romeo Dobbs. I believe Romeo Dobbs is going to be a top 12 fantasy wide receiver next year. Just a few underlying metrics: 26th in yards per route run, 15th in red zone targets among wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. He's had 23 touchdowns in 4 seasons, despite never reaching over 60 catches per season. He gets away from the socialist wide receiver core in Green Bay, and he's the bona fide wide receiver one with a coordinator who's done a good job of getting wide receiver ones 1,000 yards. Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Brandon Cooks as well, with regards to Josh McDaniels. So I think Romeo Dobbs, he gets away from that situation. He's an amazing ball winner against man coverage. We saw what he did against the Bears. I really like his outlook for 2026.
So, okay, now we just want to get this straight for a second. You do your fantasy draft. You
finish.
You're finished.
Finish. Not
draft. No, that's fine. No, but he's going to finish. But if he's going to finish as a top 12 fantasy, then you're okay with him being your WR1 on your fantasy roster. Romeo Dobbs.
By virtue of him finishing 12, yes.
That is wild. Wild.
It's not a crazy
hot takes, baby.
It's a hot take. That is a hot take.
Last year we were saying how Ladd McConkey was going to finish top 12 this year, right? I mean, like, this is Romeo Dobbs finishing top 12. I think, listen, I love this move. I was pissed that it happened for the Patriots because I really wanted the Giants to sign him because I don't think he even went for that much money. It was like, what, like $20 million a year or something like that? Like, it's very, very respectable from a wide receiver standpoint. And I love Romeo Dobbs. I think he's a fantastic wide receiver. I think he was in the wrong situation in Green Bay. Regardless of the socialist wide receiver core, like, Jordan Love has fallen off. and like,
that's for another.
That's
why
I think he had his best year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways,
yeah, he was very good last year.
Drake May is on the up.
Kyler Murray is the best. Fab is on one.
Drake
I don't want
May,
to. Yeah.
Drake May is on the up and up. I love this move. I really do. I wide receiver top 12. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I would not be drafting him that high, but I see him as a very every week in, week out wide receiver 2. Like no problem. Sign me up.
Nacc, I have a question for you.
Yes,
the wide receiver 12, without looking, the wide receiver 12 this year, guess how many receptions, yards, and touchdowns they got?
Wide receiver 12?
Just like that. Yeah.
Probably 1,000 yards, maybe 6 touchdowns, and I don't know, 65 catches.
My God, it feels like if we prepared that. That was very good. It was Jameson Williams, 65 receptions, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns.
Wow,
that was
not that crazy to do, man.
That's
interesting. Well, we have Zay Flowers finishes wide receiver 9.
Exactly.
So if he could do it, so hold on a second.
Yeah,
you're right.
Like so Jordan Love falling off,
he could easily have that kind of season. You're right. And
so Jordan Love falling off.
That's wise.
Realistically, so just before you guys rip my head off,
this has nothing to do
about
with
the wide receivers.
I just wanted to get
hold on a second. How many yards passing did Jordan Love have last year? How many yards passing did Jordan have last year? Like 3,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, and the year before that he had more. And the year before that one, he had even more. So, yes, he's falling off.
He was hurt.
Yes.
He was hurt. Okay, he missed some games last year.
He played 15 games out of a 17-game season.
I'm not doing this now. This
is
not your segment. This is not your segment. This is not your segment.
I'm done. I said what I had to say. I'm on record. This is recorded.
You can't be done because I didn't let you begin. My last thing and quickly on this was just if you look at what Stephon Diggs last year, which was basically 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, I think Dobbs could double that almost easily because he's been a touchdown machine. We're gonna move on to trade. So obviously, if Fab talked about it, Jalen Waddle has been traded to Denver. So I see that as a solid fantasy upgrade for the Broncos. Courtland Sutton moves in more into a number 2 X wide receiver role. It slots down Troy Franklin more as a number 3 than Marvin Mims. And I know there's been a lot of potential about Pat Bryant. They slot down as well. Mims could act as more of a gadget downfield guy. Waddle, I was prepared to come into this and say, hey, he hasn't really lived up to his 6th overall pick billing. And then I looked at his stats again, and he's had 3 1,000-yard seasons. He's had a 1,300-yard year. He's not as injury prone as we think. He's only missed, I think, 5 or 6 games throughout his career, even though it feels like he's always injured. I think this is a very good move, and he fits in well into what Bo Nix does from a short passing game perspective, but also deep gadgets. I really like this move.
Yeah, I got nothing. I agree. I think it was a.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it was a very calculated trade because and I mentioned it earlier in the episode, right? Like they're traded a very late round first pick, which might as well be a second round pick.
And there was a 3rd and a 4th as well, right? It was still a hefty price tag.
They're getting back a 4th.
Oh, it was a big price.
They're getting back a 4th. They got Jalen Waddle and a 4th. So, like, they're really only trading a 2nd and a 3rd if you think about it from that perspective. For Jalen Waddle, who's
still a 1st and a 3rd.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's for wide.
I think it's a lot. I think it was. I think
this guy is in his prime. I think this is a great move. From an asset perspective, like Courtland Sutton is obviously on the way out, and now you have Jalen Waddle to stay there for the next half decade, let's say, and still produce at a very high level. Yeah, he's under contract and all that, and I think it's a great move.
Another trade that we're going to break down here. So DJ Moore to Buffalo. I see that as, I believe it was for a 2nd round pick. A lot of circles are saying that also kind of was an overpay because they're eating most of the contract. DJ Moore is going to be 29, 30 years old soon. However, I still see that as a major fantasy upgrade. Again, we talked about it in the previous episodes. When you are throwing to Brandon Cooks in 2026 in the playoffs, to save your season or to advance to the conference AFC championship game, there is something wrong with your wide receiver room. Now Khalil Shakir moves on. He slots in perfectly he's a perfect number 2. You have Keon Coleman, whatever happens with that situation. Otherwise, this is a very good wide receiver draft for Buffalo to also still get kind of a bigger wide receiver because it's It's a bit of a still small wide receiver room with DJ Moore and Khalil Shakir both under, I believe, 5'11", 6 feet. And DJ Moore has had experience with Joe Brady running kind of those like crossing routes. He ran a lot of deep routes last year with Caleb Williams. He's done that before with Justin Fields as well when he got 1,300 yards. If you look at his 17-game average, he's at 80 catches, 1,100 yards, and 5 TDs. That is exactly what the Buffalo Bills needed in the wide receiver room. So a major fantasy upgrade in my opinion.
I think they wanted they were going after Waddle, and they had the better first round pick, but they just didn't want to trade him in the division.
Yeah, I think they're two very similar players. I think Waddle has a bit more speed, but I think they play very similar. Again, not the biggest guys, but this is a move that Buffalo obviously
they needed to make. Yeah, they needed to make
this. This is a great move, and this upgrades even like Josh Allen even more if you think about it, right? Because he finally has a serious wide receiver to throw to.
Yeah.
So now this is a fantastic move. This needed to be done. I know Roger said it was an overpay. Sometimes you got to do it because I think now
for sure.
they're even feeling the pressure. It's like they got to get it done. They didn't get it done this year when it was the year where he didn't have to face Patrick Mahomes and all that other stuff, and he still couldn't get past.
Yeah. But overpay in this situation makes more sense than I think the overpay in the Broncos situation because that room was pretty beefed up already. I find.
I mean,
they lack speed. I mean, and they have Mims, but Mims is too much of a gadget player. I think they needed. I think they probably expected a bit more from Troy Franklin, and they didn't get it.
Yeah, I agree. Sure, they didn't have premier talent, and Jalen Waddle is, in my opinion, he's a premier talented wide receiver. He's easily top 20 in the league. You can argue he's top 15. Like he's a very, very good wide receiver, and the amount of years he spent with Miami, he was always behind Tyreek Hill.
That's a good point.
Right. And we still saw flashes of how good he could be. He was still cracking 1,000 yards even behind Tyreek Hill, which again speaks to how good Tua is. Sorry, I just have to pull it back a little bit for a second. But I DJ Moore, Buffalo, we're done. It's fantastic. I like this move a lot. This is really good.
So we're going to move on to two 49er moves. So the 49ers signed Mike Evans. So that's a really, really good deal. I believe it's $16 million guaranteed, only $14 million AAV. And then they also got Christian Kirk as well. So to me, Mike Evans, I see that as a solid fantasy upgrade compared to Juwan Jennings at his later stage career. I think Mike Evans can still get it done, but he had quite a few injuries last year, the collarbone specifically. But when he was healthy, he did ball out in quite a few games where he went like 5 for 130 and 100 and a few touchdowns. So I think he's going to be a red zone monster. It's good insurance for Ricky Pearsall. The Christian Kirk move to the 49ers, I think that's more of a wait and see. It's a cheap deal. I think it replaces a bit of what Kendrick Bourne did in those games where he came in relief. And again, more insurance for Ricky Pearsall. He's a really good slot demon, which will fit perfectly with Brock Purdy.
I feel like the 49ers just like injury prone players. It's just crazy. It's just pretty crazy to like Kirk too missed a lot of.
He did,
a lot of time. And
he's only a few years removed.
That substation is licking its chops, man.
I think he's 2 or 3 or 4 years removed from that 1,000-yard season with the Jaguars that got him, or was it with the Cardinals that got him paid moving on to the Jaguars? So he's a good player when he's healthy.
He cooked the Steelers in the playoffs last year with Houston.
Yeah.
Remember?
He
had that really good game against Pittsburgh.
Totally. We'll move on to Alec Pierce. He got an extension, $28 million, 11th. 28 million AAV. That's the 11th at the position. I see it as a solid fantasy upgrade just because of, again, we'll talk about it after, the trade of Michael Pittman. Alec Pierce was really good on deep passes last year. I owned him in a few leagues. He ended up turning into their best option at receiver. But as we said in the show notes and previously before we jumped live, 11th AAV at the position, he has to have a bigger route tree than just running downfield routes.
Yeah.
I think he can do it, but he's gonna have to have a 80 catch, 85 catch, 1,200, 13-yard season, 8 touchdowns to really live up to this
And
contract.
that's where the concerns come in for me. Is I don't know if he's that type of player just yet. That's where my concern. He was awesome last year. I had him in a few leagues. I dropped. I feel like he was like a player who was added and dropped a lot last year, but I'm just worried. I'm worried he doesn't live up to the price tag. I mean, look, this is what wide receivers are going for these days, but going to be interesting there without Pittman.
This was a head scratcher for me. Like 11th at the position, the guy hasn't even had a season where he caught 50 passes. He's been in the league for 4 years already. Like I get the whole thing. Like, yeah, he's good and he averages 20 yards a catch and all that. That's great, but what else can you do? And now you're getting paid money to do more. Like he's gonna have to show up, or else in 2 years this guy's gonna get cut.
Yeah.
Like and Nacc, you said it. Like he was on your team, it was great, but the guy was also on waivers half the time. So how good was he? Like I don't get it.
And I think you guys are making me think this might be more of a wait and see approach type thing, because
I think
from a fantasy, because
it was also his QB last year. Like,
well,
right, he lost Daniel Jones.
Yeah, well, that's why I agree with wait and see. That's why I agree with wait and see too, because first, like, if it's not Daniel Jones, who is it? Is it Anthony Richardson, or did he ask to get traded? Like, is he still on? He's still on the roster because I think he's still under contract with his rookie contract there. But
what round are you guys taking Alec Pierce?
Oh my God,
this is
what
tough.
round? What round do you take your wide receiver 3?
But this is very different. Yeah.
Like that's where I'm looking at. He's not my wide receiver 2. I'll tell you that much. I won't be excited if he's my wide receiver.
I'm definitely more optimistic. I think he has the skills to do it, but at face value, it's very hard to be like, hey, I'm gonna take him in the 3rd round.
And like low key, I think Pittman leaving opens up more of a door for Josh Downs,
of course,
than it does necessarily for Alec Pierce. I think Alec Pierce's role was solidified. Like I think it is what it is, and maybe he gets more volume, and he probably does with Pittman gone. But I think like Josh Downs was really good last year.
Yeah,
and like for a period, it was like it's him and Alec Pierce, and then Pierce really took over. But Josh Downs was always very much in the mix. I think that's the wide receiver that a lot of people are.
I think they were like always interchanging games.
Yeah,
one of them would have a good game. They were both on waivers. They were both like kind of like pick one up, pick the other one up. It was.
We could segue to Michael Pittman. So he got traded to Steelers and signed a deal, $23 million at AAV. So I see this
as actually cheaper. Actually cheaper than that. It was like 19.
Really? Oh, maybe my numbers from Over the Cap are wrong. But I'll take your word for it, Nacc. I see this as a major fantasy upgrade compared to the WR2s that the Steelers had or tried to trot out. Where it was the who was the guy from the Wolverines who I thought
Calvin Austin,
Roman Wilson, Roman Wilson,
Wilson.
They never gave a shot. Calvin Austin, who they tried to make a thing. I think he's the potential. I strongly have conviction on this. I think he's in the WR1 in Pittsburgh. I think he just fits better what Rodgers likes to do, more crossing, more slants. He's like a slasher type player.
He's better route runner,
better route runner, way more polished. I think this is a major upgrade, and I think DK Metcalf will kind of slide into a more of a WR2 role in Pittsburgh. Next one. Wan'Dale Robinson, so to the Titans. He goes from the Giants to the Titans. $17 million AAV, $38 million guaranteed. Solid fantasy upgrade just because the Titans had absolutely nothing before. I like what I saw at Chimere DK. Ayo Manor had a few good games. I think this still keeps them in the running for like a Carnell Tate or Mekhi Lemon. We'll start talking about our draft coverage in a few weeks. But I think he's going to get a heavier target share.
He still had Ridley there too.
And God, let's...
They just reworked his deal. Nope. Yeah. Ridley is back.
That's disappointing here. Fab, I think the thing with Wan'Dale that you would agree with is he first came into the league as more of a kind of, low ADOT, more of a gadget type route runner. I think he improved his average depth of target by 3 yards last year. He became more of a deep shot guy. I think that's exactly what the Titans need. Yeah, by necessity. That's exactly what the Titans need.
By necessity.
Yeah,
for sure. But they have Kamari DK. I don't know how I pronounce your first name. Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah,
and honestly, I think well, listen, I'm happy Wandale got paid. I think he deserves it. This is great. It's sad to see him go, but he's going to a very familiar offense with Brian Daboll there as the OC, and Cam Ward as a great quarterback. So I think this is going to help Cam Ward more than it's going to help Wan'Dale Robinson, because Wan'Dale's a very good route runner. He's going to be able to get underneath quite a bit. But listen, Roger, a Giants fan, I mean, he was getting bullied off the line sometimes because of his small frame. So that's the concern that I have too, a little bit from a fantasy perspective. He's small. He's slender.
If he was a number one guy, like he's going to be put in X. He can't be an X. That's why I think they have to get Cardinal Tate.
Yeah,
they have to draft, because Cardinal Tate is a real X receiver, so that Wan'Dale could play off the line.
Yeah, no, that's a very good
point. We'll move on to Rashid Shaheed, so we'll kind of go quickly now so we can move on to the tight ends. He stays with the Seahawks, $17 million AAV, $34 million guaranteed for a guy who never had more than 800 yards receiving.
And they didn't use him much with this as a.
They didn't use it. They didn't use him at all. Somehow he's already 28.
He came in handy.
Yeah, he did from a special teams perspective. If I thought he was younger than what he is, he's already 27 years old. So obviously not super old, but I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see on this. Just from a usage perspective, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. Clint Kubiak isn't there. He had the recent history with him in New Orleans. This is a wait and see for the first few games, because everything's gonna still get funneled through JSN. Then you have Darnell Mooney, goes to the Giants on a 1-year, $10 million deal. I like it. I think it's a very good, cheap, cost-effective move. It's still a wait and see. If he can do exactly what Wan'Dale Robinson did, amazing move. Even if he gets close to that, he's been a 900-yard receiver twice. Once with the Bears, 2 years ago with the Falcons. So I think this is a very good move. I think it complements well what Wan'Dale was doing. With
he had a down year last year.
He had a down year, injuries. Yeah,
his best season came with Matt Nagy as a head coach.
Great call,
coordinator. So yeah, I think I like this move more from a real football perspective than fantasy. But again, wait and see.
Great call. The last one we'll go deep into before doing a few more quick hitters. Jalen Nailor to the Raiders, $11 million AAV, $23 million guarantee. I like this as a solid fantasy upgrade. Very promising game he had. 5 for 125, 1 touchdown versus the Baltimore Ravens. He had the 2 touchdown game against Dallas. I looked up, I saw a few stats. As a perimeter wide receiver on 141 routes, he was 6th in separation and 13th in route win percentage. So obviously there's not a lot to go around. He only had 440 receiving yards. So very small sample size, but I really like this move for the Raiders. They need to kind of redo their room, figure out what they have in Jack Besh, figure out what they have. I believe Trey Harris is still there and some of the other guys. So not Trey Tucker.
No, Trey Tucker.
So, and obviously Brock Bowers is a big component on that front. And then some of the other moves, other ancillary moves, Jahan Dotson went to the Falcons. I see that as a huge downgrade over what Darnell Mooney gave them. Tyquan Thornton stays with the Chiefs. I see that this as a very nice upside stash. He was 19 receptions, 438 yards, 23 yards per reception, 3 touchdowns. Curious to see what he could do potentially with more looks. Deebo Samuel, I believe, is still a free agent. He has a declining role. I know there's been talks of maybe a reunion in San Francisco. If he's used as a gadget player, I like that. If he's used as a focal point, I don't see it anymore. Somehow Juwan Jennings is still available. I think we're all big fans of Juwan Jennings on this podcast, especially you, Fab. I can't believe he's still available. I know they've floated around the Panthers. I think this is a solid move regardless of where he goes personally, but we'll wait and see on that. There's Brandon Ayuk, who is a free agent. He was cut by the 49ers.
They still have him.
They still have him. Eh? They didn't cut him.
They're waiting to see if they can get like a 7th round pick for him, just to see if they get anything. And there was floated around. Apparently, they're waiting for the Commanders to offer Luke McCaffrey for him.
Yeah, why would they do that? Like, they're not.
He's gonna end up being because either way was a post June 1st cut to obviously split his dead cap into 2 years, but they're waiting to potentially see if they can get any type of draft pick for him if anyone's gonna, decide to take a swing.
What a waste.
No one's gonna touch that contract.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No one's gonna touch him.
Yeah.
Well,
hopefully
when he's a free agent, someone will grab him.
Yeah, but anyways.
Stephon Diggs, there's age, injury risk. There's also legal risk as well. I think he'll find himself with a team, but that's going to be
maybe back to Buffalo.
Are they still divorced, him and Josh Allen, or did they make up? And
they say good things about each other. I think there's been some maturity. I don't know. Speaking of age and injury risk and legal risk, Tyreek Hill, he's also a free agent.
Pregnancy risk
and maturity.
Maturity. I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion that he goes to the Chiefs. I think him and Diggs will be either like in a few weeks, in a few months, or maybe after the draft or closer to training camp. Keenan Allen and Hollywood Brown round out the list.
Hollywood Brown went to the Eagles.
Brown signed. Yeah, he signed with the Eagles.
Oh, is that today?
Eagles. Yeah, today.
Okay. I don't know if that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't know if that's
cheap too. It's a 1-year deal. I want to say it's like 10 million or something.
That's
I don't even think it's that high.
That's replacing Jahan Dotson for sure, but trying to make Hollywood Brown anything in 2026 also is a foregone.
Sorry, worth up to Nacc, you're right. It's worth up to 6.5 million.
Yeah, it's very, very cheap.
Yeah, very cheap.
Yeah.
We'll stick with me on the tight ends. So same thing. We'll kind of just do one hot take each on the tight ends. No surprise if anyone has listened to this this show, they know how much I have an affinity for Chig Okonkwo. I think this is a year that Chig makes it as a top 10 tight end, finishes as a top 10 tight end. He finally has a situation where there's a QB in place. New situation. And if you look at some of the underlying metrics, he has a career 1.46 yards per route run and 5.8 yards after the catch per reception. So very, very athletic player. I think he's primed for a big year in Washington. So that'll be my hot take on the tight end side.
Well, I'm going to continue with the hot takes. My guy is Isaiah Likely, where I think there's going to be a likely amount of fantasy points to be had. Quite likely indeed, if I do say so myself. Like, jokes aside, I mean, it was the most scripted move that was going to happen this offseason, I think. If anyone was paying attention after John Harbaugh took over as the Giants head coach, Isaiah Likely was a free agent, and Mark Andrews is still very much under contract with Baltimore. It just made sense. I mean, the Giants were lacking that quality in the tight end room, especially with Theo Johnson, who had some fumble issues, and not a lot of depth really after that. And Bellinger went on to sign with the Titans as well. So it just made sense. And honestly, I think that this leads likely to a starting role, like right off the bat. And I think you're going to see a lot of heavy 2 tight end sets in Baltimore. And I think he's good as a pass blocker, but he's also going to be a mismatch, like demon, if you want to call it that, like going up against the linebackers, even some cornerbacks. Like it just makes a lot of sense. And I think this is going to be, listen, I'm not projecting him to finish as like top 5, but the top 10 is definitely in the realm of possibility. I like that a lot too. And I also think this gives a big boost to Jackson Dart because he's going to have a safety blanket now with Isaiah Likely there. And also, you had the fact that Malik Neighbors is going to be back. You had the fact that there's Darnell Mooney on the other side too, which is a little bit scarier than Darius Slayton. I think Isaiah Likely is going to have a lot of easy matchups this year. So I like this a lot.
I'm liking the Giants offense more and more. I just can we get rid of Scott?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not
that's the only.
We're gonna draft Jeremiah Love. We're gonna draft Jeremiah Love. We're gonna draft Jeremiah Love.
I can't have this clown on the team anymore.
Jeremiah Love,
I agree. I like the move.
He's gonna feed families. It's fine.
I like the call on Isaiah Likely. I think he's gonna have a big year.
I think so. I hope so.
And my hot take at the tight end spot is going to be Mr. Travis Kelce returning for age 36, going to be 37 season, his last season in the NFL. My hot take is that he finishes it off with another top 5 finish. Finished tight end 4 in 2025. And I say there's one last ride. I think the Chiefs are going to be dangerous this year. I think he finishes in the top 5 to end out his career. Come at me.
With Justin Fields at
it's
maybe
your boy.
My boy.
Oh,
my boy.
Your boy Justin Fields. He's your favorite player.
He's been passed around more than Bonnie Blue lately, man.
Wow.
That will do it, ladies and gentlemen, for another edition of the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll be back in a couple weeks. Raj, you know what to do.
Cue the music. Nacc, go take a shower. What's wrong with
Bonnie
you?
Blue catching strays, man.
Catching strays. It's spring break in the States, baby. Spring break.
Oh my.
Partying with a belly.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh man.
By the way, Travis Kelce plays in an offense, and when he was really good, you guys remember when he was offensive coordinator was Matt Nagy, and who's the offensive coordinator for the Giants right now? It's Matt Nagy.
Okay.
Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, it's time to go.
I had to switch it up from Bonnie Blue, bro.
Fab's preparation for the podcast. Let me just research Matt Nagy.
His name came up like 17 times.
His name came up like a few times. It just tells you the offensive prowess that
exists. It just tells you how much of a homer you are.
Yeah.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Peace out, everyone.
Bye-bye.